Hey guys, our lore topic this week is a request from SSR Entertainment, Rick Witt, and the Skyfather Productions. We'll be going over Ulthane the Black Hammer from the Darksiders franchise. As a quick note before we dive in, we have some questions for everyone who's watching that we'll tackle at the end of the video, so please stick around for a minute before clicking off the video.
Alright, so first things first, Ulthane is a maker, and appears to be a very old one. As a short description, the makers are essentially giant fantasy dwarves, covering many of the classical dwarven archetypes, such as being vaguely Scottish or Irish, being stocky, blocky, stout, and strong, as well as having a knack for both war and the art of the forge. Except that instead of, on average, being shorter than a human man, they are on average roughly twice as tall as a human man. For more detailed information on makers, check out our previous lore video on Ulthane's species here. The makers are also among the ranks of the Old Ones, a catch-all term in Darksiders for any race of beings that existed prior to the birth of the angels and demons. In Darksiders 2, we meet Idard, a maker who is literally old enough to recall a time before angels and demons existed, which, as we know, was at minimum dozens of millennia before any of the Darksiders games, comics, or the book take place. We know that the makers can live an exceptionally long time. And while, based upon his physical appearance, Ulthane is nowhere close to Idard's age, he is still obviously quite old, based upon dialogue he shares with War.
It is also entirely possible that Ulthane is the most powerful maker that the fanbase has encountered in the Darksiders franchise thus far. He is incredibly physically strong. His primary weapon, the Black Hammer, from which he presumably derives his Black Hammer title, is so heavy and dense that War, who up to the point of Darksiders 1 where he meets Ulthane has already performed some impressive feats of super strength, literally cannot move the hammer even an inch without the help of a magical gauntlet, while Ulthane twirls the thing about as easily as Death or War handle their own weapons. He's exceptionally robust and durable, as again, when War first encounters him in Darksiders 1, Ulthane's natural hardiness is so great that War has to enter Chaos form, which is effectively his super mode, in order to even damage Ulthane at all. In contrast, Death spars with Ulthane's brother Thane in Darksiders 2 and can readily damage him without the use of Death's own super form. This difference in damage resistance is what leads us to infer that Ulthane might be the most powerful maker so far revealed to us. However, it is worth noting that War, at the point in his story when he fights Ulthane, was not yet at full strength, having had much of it stolen from him, and it is specifically mentioned that by the game's end, War had not only regained all of his former strength but grown stronger still, so it is possible that with War at full power, like Death was for his entire game, including the Thane sparring, War would have been able to harm Ulthane without the use of his super form, making Ulthane's seeming nigh invulnerability a less than certain trait. The exactitudes of his might aside, however, the abilities and traits for which Ulthane in particular, and the rest of the makers in general, are best known are their crafting skills. Ulthane specifically is said to be an exceptional craftsman, even by his own people's standards, and these things have literally forged worlds, so he's no slouch at the anvil.
Ulthane's story begins shortly before the events of Darksiders 1. We know he was around for presumably millennia before this, but he isn't mentioned anywhere prior to the events of Darksiders 1, so we have no real idea what he was doing with his life before this. We know that prior to the games, Ulthane at some point crafted a fine helmet for his brother, but beyond that we know nothing of his exploits prior to the game. So, sometime shortly before the beginning of Darksiders 1, Ulthane accepts the call to a secret meeting, where he and Azrael, Angel of Death, and seemingly old friend, are petitioned by Abaddon, seemingly Heaven's foremost general, to aid him in a plot to destroy the leaders of Hell and their armies along with them. For more detail on the other two members of this secret council, see our video on Azrael and Abaddon here. As a side note, Ulthane does make a brief appearance in War's comic, which takes place technically prior to the events of the first Darksiders, but that appearance is literally just him coming to this meeting, which is only shown in-game. Upon arriving, Abaddon laid out his plan to Azrael and Ulthane. As they all knew, by the order of the Council, the angels and demons were barred from going to war until humanity had grown to stand on equal footing with the forces of Heaven and Hell, and the 7 seals of the Apocalypse were subsequently destroyed. Any deviation from these decrees, such as prematurely destroying one or more of the seals, or riding to war with each other on Earth or elsewhere, was strictly forbidden and harshly, generally lethally, punished. Abaddon then, chafing at the Council's rules and always wanting to see Hell and all of its legions consumed in holy fire, had come up with a plan to achieve his goals while placating the Council's rules. The first 6 seals of the Apocalypse, when broken, would, presumably among other things, summon the leaders of Heaven and Hell to Earth in order to establish the rights of battle. Abaddon's plan, then, was to shatter the first 6 seals, leaving the 7th unbroken, as it would summon the Council's enforcers, the 4 Horsemen, to Earth, and they would ruin everything. By doing so, the leaders of Hell would be summoned to Earth, only to be met by a surprise attack as the full might of the Hellguard, Abaddon's personal legions, considered the greatest warriors in all of Heaven's ranks, were brought to bear upon the unsuspecting and unprepared demon lords. Abaddon and the Hellguard would annihilate Hell's leaders, sparing the Earth and humanity from a doomsday war, and then ride on a leaderless Hell, wiping the demon race from existence before they had time to recover and reorganize.
Azrael, trying to be the voice of reason, spent the entire meeting countering every point of Abaddon's plan and explaining why it was a horrible idea. For each counterpoint, Abaddon had a response, until finally the matter of the seals was brought up. As even with the forces of Hell destroyed, assuming Abaddon's plan went well, the Chart Council would bring their wrath down upon the Angels of Heaven for destroying the seals in the first place. But that was where Ulthane came in. As a peerless craftsman, it was within Ulthane's power to reforge the 6 broken seals, power held within them and all, like new, so that any who examined them would be completely unable to tell they'd ever been shattered in the first place. So the plan was this. Azrael would destroy the seals, Abaddon would lead his Hellguard to battle and destroy Hell's leaders, and before anyone could come looking for proof of their wrongdoings, Ulthane would reforge the 6 broken seals, erasing all evidence of their crimes. When questioned by the Chart Council afterward, Abaddon would claim that the demons broke the treaty and rode to Earth to slaughter humanity, and that the Hellguard valiantly came to man's aid, slaughtering the evil, deceitful demons and bringing justice for their crimes, all while upholding the law and defending humanity. And it would be the word of Heaven against the word of the demon's dark prince, the Prince of Lies. At the end of the day, Azrael was an angel, opposed to the very nature of the demons like the rest of his kind, and though the risks were great, Abaddon's plan seemed well thought out. And so he agreed, lending his voice to Abaddon's and asking Ulthane for his aid, as his ability to reforge the seals was perhaps the most important factor in seeing the plan succeed. Ulthane sighed, but ultimately acquiesced, lending Azrael the Armageddon Blade, a powerful sword, Ulthane's own creation, for use in destroying the first 6 seals. And when the deed was done, he did his part, reforging the seals and covering up their crimes.
As anyone who's played Darksiders 1 or watched our playthrough knows, the plan failed. Miserably. Thanks to Lilith, Hell's legions were ready for the Hellguard. Abaddon fell in battle, then rose again as the Destroyer, a demon general in Hell's service. Man was wiped out, Azrael was betrayed and imprisoned by the Destroyer, and the Horseman War, innocent of any involvement, took the fall for their plan. In the aftermath, Ulthane, who by all accounts generally either doesn't care about hellish and angelic politics, or just tries to stay out of it, felt a deep sense of remorse for the part he played in mankind's downfall, and everything else that happened. As such, perhaps unknowingly, he left the Forgelands, home of his people, the Makers, and his brother Thane, before said homeland was cut off by corruption. But Ulthane's fate wasn't any less unpleasant. While the Makers slowly lost hope as their world crumbled around them, Ulthane wallowed in his guilt, going into a self-imposed exile on the ruined husk of what was left of Earth, living day to day for about 100 years, surrounded by the results of the folly he'd played such an important role in creating. After 100 years in self-imposed exile, Ulthane encountered the Horseman War, when the Horsemen came looking for his help in acquiring the hearts of the Chosen and vanquishing the Destroyer. Ulthane claimed not to recognize War, though we both believe that is complete crap, and helped War gain access to the lair of the Griever the Chosen War had come seeking, telling War that, if he returned, Ulthane would believe he was who he claimed to be. When the Horsemen returned successful, Ulthane also gave War Mercy, which was either War's brother Stryfe's gun, or a replica thereof. For more on Mercy, check out our previous video here. It is also inferred during this conversation that the moniker Black Hammer was one that Ulthane had taken on after exiling himself to Earth, perhaps as some sort of reminder of how Ulthane's craftsmanship had stained creation with the part he played in Abaddon's plot. Later, once War finds out about the plan Ulthane, Azrael, and Abaddon carried out, and where to find the shattered pieces of the Armageddon blade that had been destroyed after Azrael used it to break the seals, War returns in an easily missable cutscene. We actually missed it in our playthrough and had never heard of it before now, to tell Ulthane what he knew. Here we learn that while he knew a great deal, Ulthane didn't know that Abaddon had become the Destroyer, and immediately pledges to help War once he learns that fact.
I know the truth.
Angels with ambition have always fouled up things for the rest of us.
Abaddon is the Destroyer.
Impossible.
In Eden, I stood with Azrael before the tree. It showed me the weapon that will stop him.
My forge is yours, Horseman.
You have forged it already. The Armageddon blade.
It's gone.
You can reforge it if I bring you the broken fragments.
But they're scattered. Lost.
Make preparations. I will bring them.
Afterward, War returned with all of the pieces, and Ulthane reforged his masterpiece in order to give War a weapon powerful enough to harm the Destroyer, a demon lord hopped up on the Well of Souls. That's the last time we see Ulthane, so what becomes of him next, we can't say. Although there is a shot from the upcoming Darksiders 3 that indicates Fury will meet Ulthane as well. What exactly that meeting will be like and what part Ulthane will play in Fury's adventure is something we won't know till this November. But we look forward to finding out with all of you.
And that's basically Ulthane, Black Hammer of the Makers. We hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave us a like, and if you have ideas for videos you'd like to see us do in the future, do like SSR Entertainment, Rick Witt, and Skyfather Productions, and let us know in the comments down below. If you'd like to see more videos from us in the future, be they lore or let's play, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, maybe ring the notification bell.
But before you go, we have some questions for you guys. These lore videos are far and away the most requested and viewed videos we put out, and due to real-life time constraints, like working and paying rent, we can't put out more than we already do. So we'd like to do what we can to make these weekly lore videos even better. To that end, we want to put the question to you, what would make these videos better for you guys and gals out there on the internet? Over the time we've been doing these, we've taken advice and criticisms from viewers, gone from just reading codex information to writing videos like this, adding background music, having the slides move, injecting videos here and there, most of which many of you have seen. So if there's anything you've always watched these and thought, man, if they just tweak X, Y, or Z, that video would sing, let us know. We're neither perfect nor gurus on all things video making, but we'll do what we can. We always want to make better, higher quality stuff for everyone watching, and for anyone out there who's actually been around long enough to have seen some of our just terrible earliest stuff, thank you so much for sticking around. In the meantime, this has been True Masters and Morons, signing off. Thanks for watching this video. If you want to see more like it, hit this subscribe orb.
To see our last Let's Play, click or tap the link on the right.
For our last lore video, go to the link on the left.
And for a video chosen by the gods of YouTube from our channel, hit that link on top.
Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.